Hello, in the video. Today we're gonna take a look at all the elite fast moves that you can get for the upcoming season of the Go Battle League and if they're worth it or not. So today we're gonna take a look at the elite fast moves. If you want to see a longer video for the elite charged moves as well, then feel free to leave a like on the video. Would really appreciate it. I will then do it maybe later on today, depends on if you want to see this kind of stuff. Anyway, we're gonna start off with Counter Alakazam. Counter Alakazam is a funny spice Pokemon, but nothing else really. I will really want to see like basically that Alakazam gonna get the fast move of Psywave, which are like gonna be very strong next season, so hopefully we're gonna see that, but it's not going to be worth it. Speaking of not going to be worth it, we're going to have Celebi with Magical Leaf. This Pokemon is kinda funny, but like it's not going to be ever really be good. If you just don't have a little bit of spice, I guess this Pokemon has a little bit of a unique typing, so I'm gonna put it into C tier, but that's basically it. One of the S tiers from last season is going to be, of course, the Charizard, and with the wing attack nerf, it's gonna drop down to literally C, like you're barely gonna use it. Yes, you have Dragon Breath. Dragon Breath can be an interesting move for the open Ultra League, so maybe for Dragon Breath I would put it into B tier, but that's basically about it. Fire Spin is the #1 fast move for this Pokemon, which got buffed this season as well, as wing attack is now completely garbage. You don't want to have this Pokemon at all with a wing attack anymore, so great job for all the people that used an elite fast TM on this Pokemon. I think I used like 4 or 5 of them on to Charizard already, so that's great for me to get rid of them again. But anyway, we want to move on here now to the next one, going to be the Volt Switch variant of the Charjabug. Charjabug is actually kind of low ranked right now in the Go Battle League. We have to see on how good this Pokemon actually going to be. I still would put it into the S tier. Main reason for this is we don't really have a lot of great Pokemon with elite fast moves, and like if you want to use one TM, this is definitely one where you need it. Same goes for Dewgong. Dewgong also has an elite charge move that you might want to need. But this Pokemon right now for sure is still going to be one of the best Pokemon for the upcoming season. Moving on to another Community Day Pokemon, going to be Electos. Electos, having also access to Volt Switch, is a fun Pokemon, but currently not really viable, but I could see this Pokemon having some potential in the future. Right now, C tier is where it's at, and I think it's definitely a Pokemon that is going to be maybe interesting in the future if it's going to get a little bit of a better Electric-type charge move. The Golem, a Alolan Golem, having access to the buffed Rollout, making this Pokemon now actually really worth it for the upcoming season. Rollout Golem is something that you definitely want to try out for sure. Very cool Pokemon, definitely a Pokemon that you want to try. Next one on the list is going to be Dragon Tail Gyarados. Dragon Tail Gyarados is going to be something that you can have but don't really need to have. In my opinion, maybe in like the B tier option, like if you want to have a 3-turn move instead, it is cool, but it has Dragon Breath already, and the main issue with Dragon Tail for me is that you cannot get it back if you want to run Waterfall. Waterfall variant of Gyarados is very good in the Master League Premier Cup, so you might want to stick around with Dragon Breath, which is generally speaking also a little bit better than Dragon Tail, even though on paper Dragon Tail is better than Dragon Breath, but yeah, Dragon Tail itself most likely not worth it for you, because then if you have Dragon Breath, you can swap between Waterfall, Dragon Breath, while if you're in Dragon Tail, you're going to be stuck into it if you don't really want to use all the elite TMs all the time. Next up, we're going to have here the, Kingdra, having access to Water Gun, not ideal, would have Dragon Breath as well, which is just a better Water Gun variant, usually just better in general, so not really ideal at all. We have Kingdra, having access to Mudshot, fun Pokemon, but that's basically it, so we're gonna put it into the C tier. It is ideal on this Pokemon, but the Pokemon itself is not ideal, so we're just gonna leave it at the C tier. Lapras, a Pokemon that I want to see have some potential again in the future, might actually have some potential in the future with the move Sparkling Area being added into the game, but as it's gonna get nerfed now with Surf as well, this Pokemon really loses all the potential it had before, so we're gonna put it into the C tier again. Not great at all thanks to the Surf nerf. Next one is going to be Bullet Seed, variant of the Leafeon. If you want to run Leafeon, Bullet Seed is definitely the way to go, so I'm actually going to put it into B tier. Leafeon is actually quite an interesting Pokemon. I think it has some potential for the future. Right now, not really ideal, but I think it's going to have some potential because actually, like, it has Leaf Blade, which is one of the, actually it is the strongest charge move in the game, and just needs a little bit better coverage and maybe a bit of a buff on Bullet Seed, and this Pokemon would have some potential very, very soon. Lucario is mostly the definition of an A-tier Pokemon. This Pokemon learns Force Palm from the last event day as well. This thing definitely going to be interesting for the next season, as there are next to no counter users available anymore, and so for sure something that you kind of want to have. Next up is going to be the best Pokemon most likely on the list. Machamp is now one of the top tier Pokemon for the upcoming season, running the fast move of Karate Chop, which is a legacy move. You need to have this one for sure, worth it for sure. This Pokemon you need it for basically every league, I feel like. I guess Master League you can kind of skip if you want to, but for Ultra League and Great League for sure worth getting. I think both Gust as well as Wing Attack are legacy moves on a Pidgeot. Gust is ideal on it nowadays, and I guess I would put into like the A tier-ish because you need Gust. Wing Attack is a no-no anymore. You don't want to have Wing Attack at all on this Pokemon anymore. Wing Attack is garbage. Don't go for it. Please don't do it. It is not worth it. So, next up, Counter Poliwrath. You might think Counter got nerfed so much, you don't really want to run it anymore, but actually Poliwrath is one of the few Pokemon that have Counter that still has potential for the next season. Way more potential than the Annihilate pass because you have more bulk. You don't really, like the pacing wasn't as great before either, and it still was a very strong Pokemon. So Poliwrath still actually worth picking up and still using for the next season. Roserade with Bullet Seed is not something that you really want, needs an elite charge team as well with Fire, the Weather Ball Fire, which is actually worth it, but Bullet Seed itself usually worse than the fast move of Poison Jab. Alone Sandsearch, having the community DM move of Shadow Claw is going to be interesting, especially for the Open World League, so I'm gonna put into the S tier, but for the Great League, apparently Polar Snow is going to be the better move to go for, so I'm not too sure onto this one, but I think it's still going to be fine. B tier, a Pokemon that I honestly kind of like, I don't know why. It's the triple legacy variant of the Seaking here. Seaking is definitely one of the Pokemon that benefits from all of those elite TMs. They're having access to Poison Jab, being a legacy move, having access to Icy Wind, being a legacy move, and Drill Run being also a legacy move, making this Pokemon very expensive to build, but a lot of fun as like, especially as a Charizard, because you have the potential to beat those grass type Pokemon as a water type, which is really cool. So I like this Pokemon quite a bit. It had always a little bit of potential, like some limited metas, and I think now where limited metas are a little bit more open as a Vigoroth is gonna be gone, I think this Pokemon has a little bit more potential as well. So for sure cool to pick up. Is it meta? No, it is not, but still funny to pick up for sure. Bullet Seed variant of Shiftry is going to be a C tier for sure. This Pokemon is not going to be as ideal because Snarl, generally speaking, has a better coverage, but I feel like Bullet Seed is one of the moves that are kind of something that they could buff in the future. So maybe keep in mind this, maybe keep yours if you have still one, but Snarl, generally speaking, is the better coverage move. So Bullet Seed definitely has some potential in the future. I would be very much surprised if it would not get a buff because, yeah, Bullet Seed not a great fast move right now, but I could definitely see it getting a little bit of a damage increase. Staraptor, having access to Gust is okay, but literally it's just a can have. Now where Wing Attack got nerfed, the ideal fast move for this Pokemon is Quick Attack, which it already learns without any elite move as well, so for sure not not worth it in general, but like it is the best kind of way of doing flying type damage on this Pokemon. So depending on how you want to play it, if you want to have like a little bit more energy generation, you go for Quick Attack. If you want to farm down opponents, you go for Gust. So there's a little bit of potential at least for the Staraptor. Some potential was also the case for Steel Wing variant of the Togekiss. Now with the buff of Hery Wind and the nerf of Steel Wing, there is no shot of getting this Pokemon Steel Wing. Steel Wing doesn't make sense on it at all in any kind of way, so don't get Steel Wing on this Pokemon. Tyranitar is kind of one unfortunate one. Back in the day, I would really appreciate, would really like this Pokemon there with a buffed move of Smackdown, but as Smackdown got a nerf for the upcoming season, for mainly Bastion, this Pokemon sadly kind of would really need an update to be viable with the fast move again. Brutal Swing got a buff though, so like it's not as bad for it. Like I don't think it really got nerfed too much, so I'm gonna put it into the B tier. But I feel like Bite has a little bit more potential in the current Master League meta, as there are a lot of Ghost and Psychic type Pokemon around. But Smackdown still has some potential. Also, Smackdown has some potential a lot of times in the Halloween Cup, which is coming up again this season, so might be an interesting Pokemon to look forward to, but it's not really ideal. Magical Leaf on the Victreebel. I think a move that you definitely kind of want to have as well now, especially after Razor Leaf got nerfed. I think this move definitely has some potential, so definitely interesting Pokemon nonetheless. We're going to have Vikavolt, sadly a Pokemon that is pretty garbage. Of course, the main community day there was mainly for Charjabug, but Vikavolt sadly doesn't really have a lot of potential right now. Maybe in the future if it gets like some cool signature charge move, maybe something like the Electro Wrap, which I want to see the entire time already, so that would be kind of cool. But we have to see about this, but yeah, Vikavolt currently not ideal. We're going to have Icicle Spear, which is a charge move of course, but also Powder Snow variant of the Walrein. 2 Community Day moves there on one Pokemon, something that we only saw like one more time, I think, with the Roserade. I think there was no other occasion with that. Roserade, and of course this Pokemon here also on the list here now, Snow, going to be something that you definitely want to have. Walrein seems to be a top Pokemon for the upcoming season, so for sure something very interesting. Razorleaf's legacy move on the pre-evolution of that Victreebel here, but Weeping Bell, sadly, after the Razorleaf nerf, doesn't really have any play at all. I would not really build it. It is a waste of Stardust in my opinion, so don't do it, don't go for it, not worth it. I'm gonna actually put it into the D tier because don't build this Pokemon anymore. It got double nerf with both Seed Bomb nerf as well as the Razorleaf nerf, and it's just not really a good Pokemon anymore. Victreebel is still the better Razorleafer, and you don't really want this Pokemon at all. Next up is going to be Xerneas. For the Open Master League enjoyers, this Pokemon is the best kind of fairy type Pokemon currently around, in my opinion. I used this Pokemon so many times last season and it's still going to be very good this season. Very much, yeah, a Pokemon that you have to have. And the final one is going to be the Zapdos, which you're going to put into the B tier here, kind of similar towards what the, Seaking can do here, because this Pokemon is going to be also kind of cool in limited metas, but it's never going to be top meta. But this is going to be the list here for the elite fast moves. Those Pokemon you kind of want to use it on. The other Pokemon are kind of falling off. A lot of Pokemon actually fell off this season, especially like the Lapras, like also the Weeping Bell, or also the Steel Wing variant of the Togekiss. But yeah, this is going to be the list for the fast moves here. If you want to see another list for the elite charge moves, then feel free to leave a like. Would really appreciate it if you had maybe 400 likes on this video. We're going to take a look at them, and this is going to be it. See you then. Bye bye.